We are very happy to have our first guest. He's one of the foremost journalists of this era. He has won the Pulitzer Prize, the I.F. Stone Izzy Award, and the George Polk Award, and he founded the Hope Shelter for Rescued Dogs. He recently resigned over censorship from the online news publication The Intercept, an organization which he founded. You can now read his writings at greenwald.substack.com. Please welcome Glenn Greenwald. Hey, Glenn.
Hello, James. I'm super excited to be here. Especially because I've been planning for a long time to acknowledge that I, too, am a member of the Boogaloo Boys. I'm not the person you would expect, but I feel like I found a place where I can be myself. So whatever questions you might have about who we are and what we believe, I'm totally open to those.
He straight faces it. Now, Glenn, so are you anti-LGBTQ?
No, and that's the thing is a lot of us are very pro-gay. We don't care what people do in their bedroom or who they are. That's not what we're about. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about us in the media, so I want to clarify those for people.
I appreciate that, Boogaloo boy. That's very nice.
I love when people call me that.
Well, that used to be my safe word. My first safe word was lose the watch, but then it went to Boogaloo boy, and it shuts down the scene. All right, let's talk about some real stuff. This is fun. We should do a comedy podcast. So this is. I want to just bring up this crazy thing that happened with you in the New York Times. Is that okay if we talk about that?
Sure.
So here, Lauren Wolf tweeted this out. Now she was an editor at the New York Times, and she says Biden landing at Joint Base Andrews. Now I have chills. Which that's a weird thing so you then tweeted out, you said, if you're in the national press and will be on TV at any point today and being to feel the need to weep joyously, just hold it until you find a private place. Nobody is expecting any adversarial coverage over the next 4 years, but it's just a matter of personal dignity. So that was very impactful tweet. Apparently that did a lot because Yashir Ali tweeted out, Lauren Wolf, who was the editor on contract for New York Times, has had her contract canceled after she tweeted what's on the left. She also tweeted what's on the right, but deleted it when she learned Biden chose to take his own plane. So what she tweeted was the pettiness of the Trump administration not sending a military plane to bring him to D.C. as a tradition is mortifying, childish. So what actually happened was Joe Biden decided to take his own plane, and it had nothing to do with Trump. And so they then started to blame Glenn Greenwald, for her firing because you noticed that ridiculous tweet she sent out. And Katie Helper says, I can't believe Glenn Greenwald flew from Brazil to the United States, went into the New York Times building, held a gun to the editor-in-chief's head, and demanded the firing of Lauren Wolf on Putin's orders for the most basic resistance lib tweet of all time. So, Glenn, what was your response to that episode?
Well, it was so weird because we're in Brazil. I'm 2 hours ahead of the East Coast, so I go to sleep often before people in the U.S. go to sleep, and then I wake up earlier. So I had no idea that any of this happened the night before, and I woke up the next morning, and there were like dozens of furious emails in my email inbox from liberals saying, fuck you, you got Lauren Wolf fired. What about Lauren Wolf? I read through them all, and I was like, who the fuck is Lauren Wolf? I don't know who Lauren Wolf is. I had no idea what they were talking about. I was like, there must be some thing going around Twitter that like misattributed something to me. So I like had to go Google her, and there was like nothing about her. And I was like, who's this? So then I went onto Twitter. I was like, maybe I can find something there. I mean, there were like dozens of emails. I figured it had to be something. So I then went on Twitter and I was like, saw all these people up in a ladder. I saw my fucking name trending because they were blaming me for getting this woman fired, who I don't even No, I post one tweet about her that was like light mockery because, yes, if you are an editor with the New York Times, you should not be talking about the newly elected president like he's your favorite member of a boy band and you're like super excited that he threw his t-shirt at you during a concert. Like that just is a source of like very light mockery. I didn't fucking go on a crusade against her. I posted one tweet. And the idea, Jimmy, that the people at the New York Times, who I promise you all hate my fucking guts and have for many years for so many different reasons, take marching orders from my Twitter feed, like, oh my God, Glenn Greenwald's upset with one of our editors. We need to get rid of her ASAP. Like, if I had that power, like 95% of the people at the New York Times are out there this morning. So it was just one of those things that, like, a Twitter mob created this narrative that was so fucking lunatic. It was just pure lunacy. And the whole, beyond like the ridiculousness of the idea that it was my fault, none of it was true. Like, she didn't work for the New York Times. She didn't have a contract for the New York Times. She was just like an occasional informal editor who they occasionally called when they needed somebody. You can't fire somebody like that. You can't terminate a contract with somebody with whom you don't have a contract. And they, according to them, had been upset with her for a long time about many, many different things. It wasn't even about this tweet. So the whole thing was based on an imaginary set of events. But, I mean, if somebody wants to put that power in my hand to have whatever corporate media journalist fired that I just want fired with a single tweet, I'll happily accept that. I just don't think I actually wield that power.
I'm going to have to challenge the veracity of that statement. I think you do have that kind of power. I think we all know it, and you're just lying. Don't lie.
You know, the other amazing thing is about it is that, you know, you can find so many tweets like that at CNN and NBC. I've been mocking all of them whenever I see them because they're. I mean, the most embarrassing one was that Brian Stelter, who like keeps the media in check with his like audacious adversarial media reporting. 48 hours after Jen Psaki is like installed as the new White House press secretary, a job that exists for no reason other than to like manipulate and deceive and lie to the media. She like came out with one statement on the very first day when they gave her some softball question, like, is your job to lie to us or to inform the public? And she's like, no, my job is to inform the public. A very shocking answer like that no one expected her to give. And Brian Stelter on his show like put a huge graphic on the screen that said, press secretary says her job is to tell the truth. And then in parentheses, he wrote, how refreshing, close parentheses. My God. So I mock that. I presume CNN executives are meeting now to determine when to fire Brian Stelter in light of the fact that I didn't like that either. But it is just such a humiliating posture that the media has adopted so quickly at the beginning of this administration. They're not even hiding it. That's what I meant by no one expects you to do real reporting, but at least like carry out the pretense a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.